I wanted to show you how to build a basic Kafka producer. This is for beginners. So what we're going to do here, we're going to create programs that will produce messages to Kafka, and then we'll start Kafka locally, and then we check the AI to see the messages. So I already have my Java and Gradle installed, so I'm going to use Gradle init to start a project. I'm going to go for application, Java, default okay, also okay. This is the project name. Okay, we have the project created. And we have our main app here. So I'm going to copy the code so you don't have to see me just type stuff. And I'll explain. Okay, so we imported a bunch of stuff. What we care about is Kafka client. And we have our class app. At first, we're just going to test that everything is working. So I just put test Java. Then we're going to test the Kafka producer, just print line. And then we're going to start with the actual Kafka API connection. And I'm pointing here to Bootstrap servers is the Kafka servers. Okay, so I'm pointing to locally. This is if you have Kafka working on Kubernetes, if you create it with this name. And we're serializing the messages. We're using compression, always use compression because it's far more efficient than not using compression. Okay, and then we're sending a message from producer, and we're going to do it 500 times. So we're going to 7 times, then we're going to close, and at the end, another print message. So let's see. Our Docker compose. So now that we have this already ready, let's create another folder here. Call this local dev. And inside local dev, we create Docker compose file. We paste the Docker compose, and here the Docker compose is comprised of a few services, Zookeeper, kafka-ui, and Kafka Broker. We're only using one. So when we start this Docker compose, we already have a few commands that we're going to run at boot. So we have the Kafka topic we're creating, topic just user messages and snappy. So we're going to have two plain topics, and then we're going to have one with compression. Okay, so we have this ready. So let's go to this folder. And now the Docker, all the Docker images are running. Okay, let's verify that. by going to, oh, and I wanted to say where did I get all the code. So you can go to the Kafka client. This is the URL. I'm gonna put the URL in the README file. So you can see here where we took everything. Here they're using sequential, writing sequential numbers. You can write whatever you want. This is just for the sake of making the producer write to Kafka. So we have, okay, let's refresh this. Okay, it's working. So we have one cluster called local. We have the brokers, one broker, and topic. We have messages, snapping users. So let's say messages. As you can see, it's a compression type reducer, whatever is defined. So basically none. And we have the snappy one, which is compression type snap. And you can see all the other config settings here. So now that we have Kafka running locally, let's go back to our code and let's run this. Okay, sorry, we need to obviously build first. So, okay, I'm not in our directory. Okay, so we're building the project now with Gradle. Okay, what we have here, let's see. 40, what is this? Produce a record. Oh, you cannot import it. So yeah, I know why. Let's go get a build. So we don't have the dependencies. That's why you see all these errors. So let's add the dependencies. I forgot about the dependencies. Because I'm not doing it, I'm using my code from earlier. Okay, now we have the dependencies ready. I'm gonna do. Okay, let's try building it again. Okay, great. Build was successful. Now let's check the artifact. Okay. Now let's create JavaDoc. Right now we need to add to build Gradle, we need to add also this manifest. Let's build it again. Okay, successful. Now let's run the code. Okay, what's now? Cannot be resolved, cannot import. Okay, it's got a lot of cannot import this. Let me check one sec. Yeah, why? You have it on the depend. Okay, so there was an issue with the VS Code. So now let's run the program and we see we have the lines are printed that basically started and finished. So now let's check the Kafka messages. So we have the new topic test, and let's go to messages, and we can see all the messages. So we have 500 messages here, and you can see the message from broker, which is the same on all messages because we produced them 500 times. So this is how you produce messages in Kafka, very basic. But just if you want to get started with Kafka, this is how you do it. I'll leave the links to the repo in the video description.